Live from New Delhi, you're watching DT India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour, India and the European Union to hold 16th India-EU Summit in New Delhi to announce mother of all trade deals as the two sides successfully concluded negotiations for the proposed free trade agreement. US President Trump sends border czar Tom Homan to Minnesota as protests continue after fatal ICE shootings. Some federal agents to leave Minneapolis after mayor speaks to Trump. Trump says tariffs will rise to 25% from 15% on South Korean imports, accuses legislators of not living up to trade deal. And big guns are in action in the Australian Open quarterfinals today. Arena Sabalenka, Carlos Alcaraz and other leading contenders are eyeing semi-final spots. India and the European Union, together representing 2 billion people and 25% of the global GDP, are moving closer to a landmark trade agreement. As global supply chains shift, India is emerging as a reliable and trusted economic partner. The India-EU summit on 27th of January could mark a turning point in global trade. Ajay Mishra reports on this.
India, the world's fastest-growing major economy, and the European Union, a bloc of 27 countries, together represent a market of nearly 2 billion people. As global attention turns to the India-EU summit on January 27th, expectations are rising around a proposed free trade agreement that could reshape global trade flows. Amid geopolitical uncertainty, India is increasingly seen as a reliable long-term business partner. After signing trade agreements with countries including Mauritius, UAE, Australia, EFTA nations, UK, Oman and New Zealand over the past 5 years, India is now negotiating with the European Union, its largest economic bloc partner.
भारत के लिए और यूरोपियन यूनियन के लिए एक ऐतिहासिक है एवं एक मील का पत्थर साबित होने जा रहा है। रिजिलिएंट सप्लाई चेन बनाने में हमको मदद मिलेगी, ग्रीन इनिशिएटिव्स में सपोर्ट मिलेगा और इसके अलावा जो इम्पॉर्टेंट इशू है नॉन ट्रेड इशू जैसे क्लीन टेक्नोलॉजी है, एनवायरमेंटल रेगुलेशन है, सप्लाई चेन है, इसके अंदर एक मुझे लगता है बहुत ज़्यादा मदद होने जा रही है।
Experts believe that the free trade agreement between India and the European Union will benefit all three sectors: agriculture, manufacturing and services. Indian agricultural and marine products may gain wider access to European markets, while sectors such as garments, leather, and light engineering stand to benefit. Pharmaceuticals, steel, petroleum, and chemicals are also expected to see improved market access. In 2023, India exported goods worth $76 billion to the EU and imported $61 billion. In 2024, India exported 37 billion euros worth of services to the EU, while imports stood at 29 billion euros. The European Union is still the largest trading bloc for India, and after the free trade agreement, India will start benefiting from the GSP, Generalized System of Preferences, under which no duties are levied on imports from developing countries into Europe.
पिछले कई सालों में जीएसपी के विड्रॉल होने के बाद इंडियन एक्सपोर्ट की जो कॉम्पिटिटिवनेस है थोड़ी सी कम हुई थी, वो एफटीए आने के बाद बहुत ज़्यादा ही हो जाएगी क्योंकि जीएसपी में जो कंसेशन था उससे बहुत ज़्यादा कंसेशन एफटीए में ज़ीरो ड्यूटी के कारण इंडियन एक्सपोर्ट्स को मिलेगा।
Now let's understand why the European Union is supporting a free trade agreement with India. In fact, amidst increasing global uncertainty, most countries in the world are emphasizing business relationships that are reliable in the long term. After supply chain disruptions during the COVID-19 pandemic and slowing growth across Europe, the EU is seeking to diversify trade and reduce dependence on limited suppliers. Amidst falling growth rates in Europe, the EU will find India to be its fastest growing market. Duties on wine and spirits imported from Europe to India may be reduced. European luxury car companies will also benefit from India's large market. Aircraft, diamonds, and luxury goods will find new opportunities in India. India has maintained that national interests will not be compromised in any trade deal. Safeguards for farmers, the dairy sector, and labor intensive industries such as textiles and leather remain priorities. India has also raised concerns over the EU's carbon border adjustment mechanism, which could impact exports of steel, aluminium, and cement. Trade talks between India and the EU have been ongoing for nearly 2 decades. Officials have indicated that agreement may be reached on most chapters during the summit. Bureau Report, DD India.
According to PTI, Commerce Secretary Rajesh Agarwal said on Monday that India and the European Union have successfully concluded negotiations for the proposed free trade agreement. With the finalization of a free trade agreement, India and the EU have signalled their intent to deepen economic ties in an uncertain geo-economic order. Why is this FTA important? How has the relationship between India and EU evolved over the years? Jessica Taneja gets us more on this.
Amid a fracturing global order, India and the EU are aligning their quests for strategic autonomy and resilience. A synergy that positions New Delhi as Europe's indispensable partner in Asia.
भारत और EU की 2 दशकों की स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप नेचुरल है, ऑर्गेनिक है। इसके मूल में ट्रस्ट है, लोकतांत्रिक मूल्यों में साझा विश्वास है।
With bilateral trade soaring 90% to $136 billion in goods over the past decade, and EU's foreign direct investment stock topping $140 billion, India may have found a hedge against tariff uncertainties while bolstering Europe's de-risking from China and Russia. India's business landscape now features far more European companies than it did a few decades ago.
One of the best examples of this partnership is the new Federation of European Businesses in India. It brings together 6,000 EU companies, which have created 8 million direct and indirect jobs in this economy.
Over the years, India-EU relations have followed a historical arc from margins to the mainstream. Diplomatic ties began in 1962, but remained largely dormant. The relationship then awakened with the Lisbon Summit in 2000, which then established annual summits. The momentum led to the 2004 Strategic Partnership and the 2005 Joint Action Plan, focusing on trade, security, and energy. Major acceleration came after 2022 with the relaunch of stalled FTA negotiations. Soon, a Trade and Technology Council forum was created to align standards, boost supply chain resilience, and drive joint innovation in tech and trade. Against the backdrop of geopolitical shifts, last year India and EU scripted a new 5-pillar agenda: peace, planet, prosperity, people, and partnership, which was aimed to prioritize action on semiconductors, green hydrogen, and artificial intelligence. They say converging imperatives drive autonomy in action. The EU's CHIP Act, with 43 billion euros in funding, subsidizes semiconductor production to counter global shortages. It mirrors India's PLI programs that offer manufacturers 4 to 6% of their incremental sales growth to boost production in strategic areas. Much like India's mineral-focused trade partnerships with Australia and even the UAE, EU's Critical Raw Materials Act expedites securing supply of lithium, rare earths, and cobalt for green technologies. For India, the European Union fills a reliability gap by providing stable markets for pharmaceuticals and textiles. Europe, meanwhile, gains a non-Western anchor, validating India's multipolar vision. The EU remains one of India's largest trading partners, accounting for about 17% of India's goods exports and a significant share of services trade. Industry estimates suggest that with tariffs phased out due to the FTA, exports to the EU could double over the next 3 years.
This isn't just about economics. It's also about India asserting strategic heft and turning autonomy from slogan to substance in a world still navigating tariff wars and alliances. Jessica Taneja for DD India in New Delhi.
In a significant move to further deepen security partnership between two of the world's largest democracies, the European Union and India will unveil the Security and Defence Strategic Partnership at the 16th India-EU Summit in New Delhi today. TD India's Amritpal Singh reports on this.
A key deliverable of the India-EU Summit will be the signing of the Security and Defence Partnership by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and the Vice President of the European Commission, Kaja Kallas, in New Delhi on Tuesday. The third such comprehensive agreement that the EU has signed in Asia, following Japan and Korea, will facilitate interoperability in the defence domain and open up avenues for Indian firms to participate in EU's SAFE or Security Action for Europe program. Describing the participation of an EU military contingent at the Republic Day parade as a powerful symbol of deepening security cooperation between the two sides, EU Chief Ursula von der Leyen on Monday said it will culminate tomorrow in the signature of our security and defence partnership. Earlier, EU Foreign Affairs and Security Policy Chief Kaja Kallas had also confirmed the development.
We agreed to move forward with the signature of a new EU-India security and defence partnership in areas like maritime security, cybersecurity and counter-terrorism. We will also launch negotiations on a security of information agreement. In a more dangerous world, we will both gain from working closer together.
The partnership agreement will provide a structured framework for cooperation in areas such as maritime security, cyber and hybrid threats, protection of critical infrastructure, counterterrorism, organized crime, space security, and collaboration in multilateral fora, including in the United Nations and peacekeeping operations. Amritpal Singh for DD India.
All right, our correspondent Shubhendu Ghosh joins us with more on this. Shubhendu, good morning. We've shown detailed reports to our viewers explaining how this important development will further strengthen the already strategic relationship between India and the EU. Added to that, also we tell our viewers about the landmark Security and Defence Pact. Put all this together, Shubhendu, I would want you to explain to our viewers, given the geopolitical challenges which the world is facing at this time, what does it mean for India and EU to finalize an FTA? Added to that, further strengthen and enhance its strategic partnership?
Preeti, that's right. There are reasons why this deal that has concluded and the official announcement of the conclusion will be made today by the leaders is referred to as mother of all deals. We have to see that a combined market of about 2 billion people is going to be represented by India and EU. Global GDP share together of about 20 to 25%. That is really a remarkable breakthrough for two of the most dynamic economic zones in the world, India being one of the fastest growing large economies, and EU home to 27 solid developed countries. So in that sense, for India to be able to, with just one deal, be able to access the markets of 27 developed countries of the West is going to be remarkable. Remember, it is going to be a trade deal between a set of developed countries represented by the EU Commission and India, a developing country. So in such deals, various concerns, various areas that a particular economy, India, for example, would like to protect, those are also considered. So in that sense, it's going to be a deal. The fine print we'll get to know by today afternoon, but it's going to be a deal which is going to be pragmatic, which is going to be a win-win agreement for both the sides. They have a trade volume in goods of about $136 billion. Add the services trade to that, it goes up to $190 billion as of today. When this deal comes into play, is enforced in about a year's time after it is signed, the speed at which the growth would happen. Remember, this growth in trade in the last decade has been about in 90% growth with tariffs and other restrictions. And when those restrictions go away, the potential with which the two sides could grow is going to be immense. Also, we have to take into account the changing geopolitical orders. the kind of pressures that exist today with greater powers imposing tariff diplomacy, all leading economies, all leading players in the world are looking for stable, pragmatic partnership which can help enhance their strengths, which can help improve on the areas where their economic system needs input. So in that sense, India and EU represent a very, very important partnership. It's a strategic partnership also of about 2 decades, Preeti, and that confidence that generated really forms the foundation now of this historic deal that is going to be announced today, the India-EU FTA. And there are so many aspects to it. We'll get to know about the details later, but the in focus would be that the strengths of both the economies are going to be enhanced with this deal coming into action.
All right, the strengths of both the economies will be enhanced with this FTA. Shubhendu, very quickly, get us a sense of which all sectors would be benefiting when we talk of, FTA. You do tell us that it will come into effect, say after close to a year after it is announced or signed. Get us more details as to what are the particular sectors which are set to benefit from the FTA.
Preeti, India and EU engage in diverse areas. There are n number of sectors where the trade volume, goods trade volume, which represents about $136 billion worth of trade. What is also important that given engagement in all sectors, certain sensitive sectors which exist. For example, for India, agriculture, dairy, these are sensitive sectors. These are sectors which India would want to protect the domestic producers. In particular, steel is another such sector. For Europe, automobile, we know, is a very sensitive sector. They're careful, cautious in the way in which they progress. So what we're learning is that there's a very pragmatic understanding. It is not just an open market for both the countries. Both the countries are going to be opening up areas where they would like investment, they would like engagement, and the sectors which are vulnerable, sectors that they would like to protect. Both countries are going to respect each other's concerns. So in that sense, for India as a developing country, the sectors, the producers that India would want to protect from external influence, from external trade pressures, those are sectors that are going to be prevented. Again, the specific details we'll wait for the leaders to spell out, but the number of sectors are going to be really covering the entire gamut of economic engagement. Remember, there's also going to be the strategic partnership taken forward with the defense agreement that is also set to be signed. So in that sense, a closer cooperation in technology, emerging technologies, strengthening the semiconductor supply chain is going to be a key priority for both the sides, India and EU. Preeti?
All right, Shubhendu, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in with those insights. So that was our correspondent Shubhendu telling us more on the FTA that will be announced today between EU and India. We'll keep you updated. You're watching DD India Newshour. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, Venezuela's Rodriguez rejects US remarks as offensive, asserts country sovereignty while calling for respectful ties. International Summit on Synthetic Drugs in Ecuador to address the threat posed by transnational criminal networks. After Australia, France moves to ban access to social media for children under the age of 15.
Can the US launch a bombing campaign against Iran? The Philippines vessel suffered structural damage. The saga of child sexual abuse is the United States China's debt trap strategy. Truth is stranger than fiction. But sometimes hard to uncover. Trust us to tell the truth, unadulterated and pure, of every story that matters to you. You read between the lines, cut the clutter, and connect the dots to get you the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots at these times with me, only on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News. Let's get you more updates. Time for updates from around the world now. US President Donald Trump sent his border czar, Tom Homan, to Minnesota on Monday in an apparent bid to ease tensions over the killing of a second person by immigration agents. Trump said that border official Tom Homan will answer directly to him, a shift that suggests the administration is responding to political backlash. Most Americans oppose the aggressive ICE enforcement tactics, while criticism has come not only from former presidents Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, but also increasingly from within Trump's own Republican Party. Further, Trump said that he had a very good conversation with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and also spoke with Minneapolis Mayor Shakeup on Monday. Following the call with Trump, Frey said that some federal agents will begin leaving Minneapolis on Tuesday. In a post on Truth Social, Trump said, and I quote, "Lots of progress is being made," and that White House border czar Tom Homan would meet with Frey on Tuesday. Meanwhile, Gregory Bovino has been removed from his role as the commander-at-large for the U.S. Border Patrol. He will return to his former job in California, where he is expected to retire soon. Demonstrators assembled outside Senator Amy Klobuchar's Minneapolis office on Monday, urging her and other Minnesota legislators to block proposals that would increase funding for U.S. immigration and customs enforcement. Their protest came as Senate Democrats said that they would not provide the votes needed to pass a $64.4 billion Department of Homeland Security funding bill. They urged Republicans to remove it from a broader package that funds other government programs to September 30th. Current funding is set to expire after midnight on Friday. Senator Amy Klobuchar said that Trump's deployment of federal agents to Minneapolis was completely out of control and out of balance. Students at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities walked out and rallied on Monday to protest the presence of U.S. immigration and customs enforcement and express concern about fear in their community. Students called for the abolition of ICE and gathered to hear speeches from fellow students on how recent enforcement activity had left many on campus afraid to leave their homes. Students organized aid for those afraid to go outside and monitored immigration enforcement activity on the campus.
No troops, the students keep us safe. We keep us safe.
US President Donald Trump has announced that he is raising tariffs on South Korean imports to 25% after accusing the country of not living up to an earlier trade pact struck with Washington. In a post on social media, Trump said South Korea's legislature is not living up to its deal with the United States and that he would increase levies on South Korea from 15% across a range of products, including automobiles, lumber, pharmaceuticals, and all other reciprocal tariffs. He added that he was increasing tariff rates because the Korean legislature hasn't enacted our historic trade agreement, which is their prerogative. Following Trump's announcement on tariffs, South Korea said on Tuesday that it had not been informed about the tariff hike plans in advance. Seoul's presidential office in a statement said Trade Minister Kim Jong-kwon, recently in Canada, would head to Washington for talks on the issue with U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. Shares in South Korean automakers tanked on Tuesday after Trump posted as Hyundai Motors fell 4% at the opening, while shares in sister automaker Kia Corp and affiliate Hyundai Mobis also fell around 3.4% and 5% respectively. Earlier, the two countries reached a deal on trade and security issues after Trump met his South Korean President Lee Jae-myung in Seoul. Under the agreement, the U.S. cut its tariffs on South Korean vehicles, car parts, pharmaceuticals and other products from 25% to 15%. The pact also called for South Korea to invest $350 billion in several key U.S. sectors, including semiconductors, shipbuilding and biotech. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer will fly to China on Tuesday on the first visit by a British leader in 8 years in a bid to mend ties with the country and reduce its dependence on an increasingly unpredictable United States. On a 3-day visit, Starmer will meet with Chinese leaders in Beijing and then travel to Shanghai before a brief visit to Japan. Since being elected in 2024, Starmer has made it one of his priorities to reset ties with China following a deterioration in relations under previous governments because of rows over Beijing's crackdown on pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong, a former British colony, and multiple allegations of espionage and cyber attacks. Starmer is the latest Western leader to visit China, and his trip comes amid tensions between Britain and its long-standing closest ally, the United States, over President Trump's threats to take control of Greenland. Venezuela's interim president, Delcy Rodriguez, said that the country expects about $1.4 billion in investment this year in projects under oil production sharing contracts promoted by the government, compared with some $900 million last year. Rodriguez made the remarks at state oil companies' headquarters in Caracas during a meeting with oil executives, lawyers and lawmakers as officials discussed a proposed reform of Venezuela's main oil law that would formally incorporate the output sharing contracts. In the same meeting, Rodriguez pushed back against the comments she attributed to U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, calling them irrelevant and offensive, and said that Venezuela does not take orders from any external factor. She added that Venezuela was not afraid of respectful relations with the United States, but said that they must be based on respect. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said in an interview on Monday that the administration of U.S. President Donald Trump will gradually lift sanctions against the Venezuelan government, and that when Washington decides the time is right, there will be free and fair elections in the country. Rodriguez spoke to oil executives, lawyers and lawmakers at state companies PDVSA's Caracas headquarters during the discussion of a proposed reform of the country's main oil law, which would incorporate the output sharing contracts.
Y el secretario del Tesoro.
The US Treasury Secretary has made some irrelevant and offensive statements, and I must respond. The people of Venezuela do not take orders from any external factor. The people of Venezuela have a government, and this government obeys the people. We have no other external factor to obey. And the personal threats I receive, I want you to know that I was already aware of them when I was sworn in as acting president.
Y sus instituciones.
Ecuadorian President Daniel Noboa opened an international summit on synthetic drugs in Quito on Monday to address the threat posed by transnational criminal networks. During the conference, Noboa emphasized on the need for enhanced intelligence sharing, stricter substance controls, and reciprocal efforts from other nations in combating drug-related crime. He highlighted the importance of forums like the International Conference on Synthetic Drugs in understanding the scope of the issue and crafting effective solutions. The summit brings together security, justice, chemical control, customs, forensic, public health, academic and international cooperation experts. France's lower house of parliament has passed a bill banning access to social media for children under the age of 15. The National Assembly approved the legislation during an overnight session from Monday into Tuesday. Also, when we talk of this, then it is about backing a measure championed by President Emmanuel Macron as a way to protect children from excessive screen time and harmful online content. Passed by 116 votes to 23, the bill follows similar measures abroad, including Australia's ban on social media for under-16s. Supporters say it will help curb cyberbullying and mental health risks, while critics warn of enforcement and age verification challenges. The ban is due to apply to new accounts from the 2026 school year, with existing non-compliant accounts to be shut down by the end of that year. Let's get to weather updates now. A massive winter storm continues to grip the United States, bringing heavy snow, extreme cold and widespread disruption across multiple regions. The storm has dumped large amounts of snow, disrupted power supplies and air travel, and prompted states of emergency across the country. Washington, D.C. was blanketed with over 20 centimeters of snow in nearly 20 hours, with temperatures falling to minus 10 degrees Celsius. The storm, which began on Friday and moved from the southern U.S. to the northeast, has killed more than 20 people and is affecting nearly 190 million people, more than half the U.S. population. At least 25 governors declared states of emergency and warned that freezing air and ice accumulation following the storm could prolong its impact throughout this week. You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, International Holocaust Remembrance Day observed to honor Jewish victims killed by the Nazi regime. Stay with us for a quick roundup of the 77th Republic Day celebrations. National Cultural and Tourism Festival Bharat Parv 2026 being held in Delhi, marking India's cultural diversity and tourism potential.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Let's get to updates from West Asia now. Israeli forces brought home the remains of Ran Gwili, the last hostage held in Gaza. The young Israeli police officer in the elite Yasim unit was on medical leave when Hamas launched its deadly 2023 attack on Israel. Instead of staying home, the 24-year-old motorcycle enthusiast grabbed his gun and raced towards the area of attack in southern Israel. Nicknamed the Defender of Alumim by his family and the kibbutz of that name, Gwili was killed in combat near the community and his body was taken to Gaza by Hamas terrorists. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called Gwili's return an extraordinary achievement. Later addressing a conference on anti-Semitism, Netanyahu said that he fulfilled the promise of having no hostages in Gaza. The Israeli Prime Minister also praised US President Trump's effort in bringing back Israeli hostages. Israeli President Isaac Herzog and his wife removed yellow hostage symbols from the president's residence on Monday, marking the return of last remaining hostage held in Gaza. Later, the president and his wife also spoke with Gwili's parents over the phone. International Holocaust Remembrance Day, observed annually on January 27th, honors the 6 million Jewish victims and millions of others killed by the Nazi regime. The day marks the 1945 liberation of Auschwitz-Birkenau by Soviet troops, who found 60,000 to 70,000 prisoners, including about 7,000 starving survivors. Designated by the UN in 2005, the observance emphasizes education, combating anti-Semitism, and preventing future genocides. Commemorations around the world honor Holocaust victims and survivors, reminding people of the dangers of hatred and intolerance and reinforcing a global commitment to memory, education, and preventing future atrocities. India has reaffirmed its unwavering commitment to multilateralism and the international rule of law at the UN Security Council meet in New York. Speaking at UNSC opening debate on Monday, India's permanent representative to the UN, P. Harish, said that the country knows from experience that global challenges that conflict, climate change, terrorism cannot be solved by any state acting alone.
This debate provides a timely opportunity to reflect upon some of these challenges, identify the causative factors, and explore the means to reinvigorate peace, justice, and multilateralism. At the outset, I'd like to highlight that India upholds the rule of law as a cornerstone of its national governance, enshrined in its constitution and reinforced through the independence of its judiciary and initiatives that expand access to justice. These deep roots of rule of law in India at the national level inform and guide our commitment towards rule of law at the international level.
Reaffirming India's strong zero-tolerance stance against terrorism, Ambassador P. Harish said that the entire Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir has been, is and will always be an integral and inalienable part of India.
Talk from the representative of Pakistan about the new normal. Let me reiterate again that terrorism can never be normalized as Pakistan wishes to do. It is not normal to tolerate Pakistan's continued use of terrorism as an instrument of state policy. This hallowed chamber cannot become a forum for Pakistan to legitimize terrorism. We will do whatever required to protect and ensure the safety and security of our citizens. Furthermore, Pakistan has no locus standi to comment on matters that are internal to India. The Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir has been, is, and will always remain an integral and inalienable part of India.
Indian embassies and high commissions across the world also celebrated the 77th Republic Day with patriotic fervour and enthusiasm on Monday. Indian Consulate in New York celebrated the Republic Day with flag hoisting by Consul General Vinaya Srikant Pradhan. He read the President Murmu's address to the nation, highlighting the timeless values of the Constitution and the vital role of citizens at home and the Indian diaspora abroad in building a developed India by 2047. Indian diaspora joined the celebrations despite extreme weather conditions. The High Commission of India celebrated the 77th Republic Day of India in Grenada with great fervour. Grenada's Foreign Affairs and Trade and Export Development Minister also graced the occasion. Indian nationals, members of Indian diaspora and friends of India joined in the celebrations. The Embassy of India in Santiago also celebrated the 77th Republic Day with great enthusiasm and pride. The ambassador, along with embassy officials and their families, joined members of the Indian diaspora in Chile and friends of India, creating a truly warm and festive gathering. The Embassy of India in Norway commemorated the 77th Republic Day in Oslo. Members of the Indian community, friends of India and representatives of various organizations participated in the celebrations, reflecting the spirit of unity, pride and shared commitment to India's progress. With pride and reverence, the Indian tricolour was unfurled at the Embassy of India in Tunis in Tunisia in the presence of the Indian diaspora and friends of India, marking the 77th Republic Day. Indian Embassy in Sweden also celebrated the Republic Day of India with vibrant flag unfurling ceremony alongside the Indian diaspora in Stockholm. India's envoy to the United Nations, P. Harish, also unfurled the tricolour in New York. Participants attended the event with an overwhelming sense of pride and patriotism. Indian Embassy in Hungary also glows in the colours of the national flag in Budapest. To mark the 77th Republic Day, the iconic Hungarian Heritage House was illuminated in the tricolour. In South Africa, Republic Day was celebrated with pride and patriotic spirit as members of the Indian diaspora, diplomats and also distinguished guests gathered to honour the values enshrined in the Indian Constitution: justice, liberty, equality and fraternity. Let's take a look.
From New Delhi to Johannesburg, the tricolour rises high, a symbol of India's journey and pride, fluttering thousands of kilometres away as India's 77th Republic Day is marked here in South Africa. Republic Day marks the day India's constitution came into effect on 26th of January 1950, formally establishing the nation as a sovereign democratic republic.
On that day, our constitution was fully enforced. Bharat, the birthplace of democracy, was unshackled from the dominion system, and our democratic republic came into existence.
में हम सब मिलकर अपने वतन से ये वादा करते हैं कि हमारा दिल और हमारी जान सब कुछ इस देश के लिए है। दिल दिया है, जान भी देंगे, ऐ वतन तेरे लिए।
In South Africa, the occasion was observed at an event hosted by the High Commission of India, attended by members of the Indian diaspora, diplomats, and invited guests.
On behalf of all South Africans and the diaspora of Indians across the world, we'd like to wish all the Indians a happy 77th Republic Day.
Republic Day is observed annually as a reminder of the principles enshrined in the Indian Constitution: justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity, values that continue to guide the world's largest democracy.
This is an excellent occasion to celebrate our country. We see the contribution being made by the Indian community abroad. We think and the country expects, and I'm sure that you will participate in the development of India and Viksit Bharat 2047, that is Develop India by 2047. A happy Republic Day.
I congratulate everyone on behalf of Armed Forces of India on 77th Republic Day. Let's all work together for a prosperous and Viksit Bharat. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
On commemoration of 150th anniversary of Vande Mataram song, we are going to present Vande Mataram song by the High Commission officials. So Sufalam, Malayaj Sheetalam, Shashya Shyamalam, Mataram, Vande.
On the behalf of High Commission of India, we extend all Indian community in South Africa for a 77th Republic Day of India. We are proud to celebrate this moment here, and thank you very much. Jai Hind.
As India marks its 77th Republic Day, celebrations beyond its borders reflect the nation's global footprint and the continued resonance of its democratic ideals. For DD India, I'm Nazneen, celebrating democracy and Desi pride in Pretoria, South Africa.
And in Netherlands, the Indian community gathered in Wassenaar to mark the occasion, celebrating India's democracy, unity and global presence. Take a look.
As India marks its 77th Republic Day, celebrations are taking place far beyond its borders. Here in The Hague, the political heart of Europe, the Indian community comes together at a moment when India's global role is more visible than ever, economically, strategically and politically. Today is not only about history and tradition, but also about how modern India presents itself to the world. Republic Day looks back at India's foundations, but it also speaks to India's role today. In the Netherlands, ties with India are growing across diplomacy and trade. So what does this day mean for Indians abroad, and how does India see its partnership with the Netherlands? We asked India's ambassador, Mr. Kumar Tuhin.
Republic Day is a day of celebration because, as you rightly mentioned, this is the day when we celebrate the coming into effect of our republic and the democracy, all these great values that our nation instills in our people. This is the day to remember them and also to commit ourselves to realizing the vision of Viksit Bharat for 2047. With the India-EU free trade agreement discussions now coming to a conclusion, these will also give a fillip to the trade and investment ties between India and the Netherlands.
Republic Day is not only marked by official ceremonies. Here in The Hague, it is also a personal moment for many Indians living abroad. We asked people from the Indian community what this day means to them.
In the world today, And it is in this situation that
we celebrate our diverse nation and we are so proud of it.
Today, standing here in the Netherlands, the way we are celebrating and enjoying, I just can't express that in words. I'm so overwhelmed.
It's a feeling of sharing that joy.
From the official ceremony to the voices of the Indian community, Republic Day here reflects both pride and connection across borders. Mark Limburg reporting for DD India from Wassenaar, the Netherlands.
Under the 77th Republic Day celebrations, the Ministry of Tourism is organizing a 6-day National Cultural and Tourism Festival, Bharat Parv 2026, in the lawns of the Red Fort. The festival was inaugurated by Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla and Union Minister for Tourism and Culture, Gajendra Singh Shekawat. Take a look at this report.
The historic Red Fort once again became a witness to India's cultural diversity and tourism potential. Organized by the Ministry of Tourism, Bharat Parv 2026 was inaugurated on 26th of January.
भारत एक ऐसा वीरता वाला देश है जहां पर दुनिया की हर विविधताएं भारत में नजर आती है और इसीलिए इस उत्सव के माध्यम से हमारी संस्कृति की झलक तो नजर आएगी सही, हमारी परंपरा, हमारी संस्कृति के साथ साथ हम देश और दुनिया को इस भारत पर्व के माध्यम से यहां पर विशेष रूप से आमंत्रित करना चाहते हैं.
Bharat Parv is the Minister of Tourism's flagship annual event, showcasing India's rich cultural, artistic, culinary and spiritual heritage. It also promotes initiatives such as Ek Bharat, Shreshtha Bharat and Dekho Apna Desh.
यहाँ आने वाले लोगों को भारत के बुनकरों का, भारत के शिल्पकारों का, भारत के हस्तशिल्पियों का, उनके हुनर का दर्शन तो होगा ही, भारत के विभिन्न संस्कृति के विभिन्न रंगों को देखने का लाभ भी यहाँ मिलेगा ही, लेकिन साथ ही साथ हमारा भारत जो विश्व में एक अनूठा देश है जहां भोजन की इतनी तरह की विविधताएं, इतनी विविध परंपराएं, वो सारी विविधताओं को अनुभव करने का भी यहाँ सौभाग्य उसे प्राप्त होगा.
The festival features an exhibition of 41 Republic Day tableaux. A total of 48 cultural performances by cultural troupes from states and union territories, the Sangeet Natak Academy and popular artists are being presented. In addition, 22 band performances by the armed forces and paramilitary forces, 60 food stalls offering cuisines from across the country, live cooking demonstrations, and 102 handcrafts and handloom stalls are attracting visitors. Bharat Parv 2026 holds special significance as it is dedicated to the 150th anniversary of Vande Mataram, a symbol of national unity, cultural pride, and love for the motherland. The entry is free for all and festival is open till 31st of January. Bureau Report, DD India.
The National School of Drama organizes the 25th edition of Bharat Rang Mahotsav 2026, the world's largest international theatre festival from 27th of January to 20th of February. Bharat Rang Mahotsav unfolds as its most expansive edition, staging performances across 40 locations in India with participation from all 7 continents. The festival features 277 Indian productions along with 12 international productions, highlighting its global scale and cultural diversity. India's Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju has called an all-party meeting at 11 a.m. on Tuesday to discuss key national issues and legislative business ahead of the budget session. The all-party meeting is set to discuss the agenda for the budget session to ensure a smooth proceeding. The budget session will commence on January 28th and will continue till April 2nd with one break. The first phase is scheduled from January 28th to February 13th, while the second phase will run from March 9th to April 2nd. President Draupadi Murmu will formally open the session, addressing the members of both the Houses of Parliament. The session will feature 30 sittings, with the Union Budget 2026-27 being presented on 1st of February. A quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India. The 2026 Dog and Cat exhibition is underway at Sardar Maidan in Belagavi, Karnataka, bringing together pet lovers, breeders and veterinarians. The event raises awareness programs on animal care, responsible pet ownership, health, nutrition and welfare, along with exhibitions showcasing different dog and cat breeds. Inmates at Bengaluru Central Prison baked biscuits, savouries and cupcakes served at the Republic Day event at Manekshaw Parade Ground. The initiative is organised under Karnataka Prison's Nav Sankalp program with support from IT major Hindustan Computers Limited. This initiative aimed to train inmates, improve skills and aid their rehabilitation after their release. A food festival at the Botanical Garden in Munnar, Kerala began on Sunday with an exhibition of hot, flavourful local delicacies. It is organised by a district mission and it is going to conclude on Tuesday. This food festival aims to encourage community participation and promote tourism. Let's get to business updates now. Gold prices hit fresh record highs on Monday as investors sought safe havens amid geopolitical tensions, US tariff threats and fears of another potential government shutdown. Gold briefly climbed above $5,100 an ounce before easing back, while Wall Street stocks edged higher ahead of earnings from major technology companies. Gold was last trading near $5,037 an ounce as compared with around $2,000 2 years ago, with silver also at record levels. Let's get to sports updates now. Talking of tennis, Australian Open has reached its quarterfinal stage with top stars battling for a place in the semi-finals at Melbourne Park. Carlos Alcaraz has been in commanding form, reaching the last 8 without dropping a set. He now faces Australia's Alex de Minaur, who advanced with a straight sets win over Alexander Bublik. The Australian Open has traditionally been a tough tournament for Alcaraz, but a win today would mark his best ever finish at Melbourne Park. Standing in his way is home favourite Alex de Minaur, who is chasing history by trying to become the first Australian man to win the title since Mark Edmondson in 1976. Top seed Aryna Sabalenka has reached the Australian Open 2026 semi-finals after a commanding win over 18-year-old Eva Jovic, in fact. The world number 1 defeated Jovic 6-3, 6-0 in a one-sided quarter-final at sweltering Melbourne Park on Tuesday. Sabalenka, champion in 2023 and 2024 and last year's runner-up, will face either Coco Gauff or Elina Svitolina for a place in Saturday's final. The world number 1 closed out the match in straight sets, staying on course for a third Australian Open title in 4 years. Her experience and powerful game proved too strong for the teenage American. '25 Australian Open runners-up Alexander Zverev has made the quarterfinals once again in Melbourne Park. Zverev will take on 25th seed Liana Tian in the quarterfinals. Zverev, last year's runner-up, is making his 5th quarterfinal appearance at Melbourne Park in the past 7 years and comes in as the favourite. In other sports updates, the fancied Indian Army team had to summon all its experience to squeeze past spirited Chandigarh's 3-2 to keep their men's Halo India Winter Games ice hockey gold medal at the NDS Stadium on Republic Day. The Army match winner came with just 3 minutes left on the clock, and the Ladakh leg of the Games could not have asked for a better and thrilling ending. Haryana won the team championship title of the Ladakh phase of the Games, thanks to the 4 goals won by their figure and ice skaters. Ladakh, Maharashtra and Telangana each won 2 golds but were separated by the number of silver medals they won. Ladakh with 5 silvers finished at the 2nd place, Maharashtra with 3 silvers finished at the 3rd place, while Telangana with 2 silvers finished at the 4th place. India will face Zimbabwe in their opening match of the Super 6 stage of the ICC Under-19 World Cup on Tuesday. The match will be played at the Queen's Sports Club in Bulawayo. India head into the contest in strong form after finishing the group stage unbeaten with 3 wins from 3 matches under the leadership of Ayush Mhatre. India are the most successful team in Under-19 World Cup history, having won the title 5 times, and will be confident of extending their dominance. Zimbabwe, meanwhile, come into the Super 6 stage after suffering 2 defeats in the group phase and will be searching for their first win of the tournament. That's it in this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.